Hello there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing a family game night video, and I know there's a lot of people out there who have never played or who don't, but given all the COVID lockdowns and stuff that we've been going through, and apparently we got a new round of them, regardless of whether we need them or not. We were given the order today to shelter in place, or was it yesterday, last night I think it was. Anyway, the point being, people got a lot of time on their hands, and there's only so much TV and internet you can watch. So, gaming, role-playing games, tabletop role-playing games are great for a family because everybody can sit around and make a character and have some fun. And that's the whole point. Well, we have a lot of people who are playing now that have never done it before, and they're tasked with running a game and they have no idea what they're doing. So, I try to give some advice, and this particular video is called Monty Hall, Haul. And yes, that's misspelled for a reason. When you run a Dungeons and Dragons game, as the Dungeon Master, you set the rewards or the treasure or whatever it is. And you have to be careful doing that. You have to balance it out. You need to make sure that the reward matches the risk of whatever the scenario or an encounter was. If you kill an orc, he may have a few gold pieces on him, tops. Most orcs don't have magic items. Most orcs, because they're little minor peon bad guys. Now, a dragon, you slay a dragon, he's been collecting treasure for God knows how many centuries. He sleeps on a pile of gold. The movie The Hobbit, where he went under there and Smaug was asleep on that pile of gold. Yeah, that's pretty much what it should boil down to. There's tons of gold down there. Of course, in that particular scenario, that may have been over the top a little because the dwarves had been gathering this treasure for generations. Dwarves live a long time, hundreds of years, several hundred years at a time. So they had been gathering this huge treasure hoard for generations, and then the dragon came in and just took it over. So that may be a bit over the top even for a dragon, but my point is, dragons collect treasure, and they can have magic items, they can have potions and scrolls and magical artifacts and big piles of coinage and the whole 9 yards. But when you're running, usually a single player cannot kill a dragon. Usually. There's exceptions to every rule, but usually. Excuse me. The point is, you need to make sure that the reward or the treasure, whatever, matches the risk of whatever the scenario is. You also have to make sure that you don't give the player characters so much treasure that it's no longer fun to adventure. It's pointless to adventure. If a character has so much money they can purchase a kingdom, why go spelunking in caves? You can live the high life. You see what I'm saying? There's some logic. Of course, there are some players who are just greedy and never get enough. I've got 10 billion gold pieces in a cave and blah, 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 but I'm going to go out and slay some orcs, One crit and they're dead, and then that pile of gold is useless, you know what I'm saying? It's got to match. It's got to, and there's ways in your game, if you're running a game, there's ways to relieve players of their hard-earned cash, gold. One, a player character can only carry so much. I did a video on encumbrance. Most player characters can carry 100 coins, 200 coins, whatever. Maybe some gems and jewelry because that's worth a lot of money, and that's found a lot in treasures as well. But most of the time they don't carry a whole hell of a lot because the local economy in your game also has to be taken into consideration. Let me explain. If the locals are very poor, it's a poor kingdom, and they're dealing basically in silver pieces, and nobody's ever seen a gold piece, a golden coin. Nobody's ever seen one. It's all silver or copper or whatever. A player character who comes into town with 1 million gold pieces, he's a king. He can literally purchase the kingdom. It doesn't, what's the point? Years ago, a good dungeon master, he was a good guy, but he overplayed the Mithril hand. And Mithril in Dungeons and Dragons, and in The Hobbit, and in Lord of the Rings, they called it Mithril. And Mithril, however you want to pronounce it. It is a metal naturally occurring, and it's naturally magical. It naturally gives you a +4. So if you make armor out of it, it's +4 armor. If you have a sword, it's a +4 sword. Just, you don't have to have a wizard for that. Just, have a dwarf forge it, or somebody who knows how, make a sword out of it, and it's automatically a +4 weapon. It's really, really valuable stuff. Well, this dungeon master, we had a group of about, I want to say we had 6 players, if I recall correctly. It's been years ago. And we found a vein of Mithril, and we mined it. We stopped adventuring and just mined the Mithril. We came out with a wagon load of Mithril each, and so we brought that to town, and we found a guy who could forge it, who could forge the Mithril into different things, a smith, and we were making all kinds of stuff and selling it for major money. Problem was, it upset the local economy because everybody had a Mithril something. I got a Mithril shield. What do you got? I got a Mithril sword. It became no longer special. It's like having too many magic items in your game. Magic is supposed to be special. If everybody has +14 everything, what's the point? You see what I'm saying? Finding a magic item should be the culmination of a quest. We're looking for this magic sword. Well, there you go. You load up on all your normal stuff and go find the magic sword. And maybe there's some other stuff with it, and other players can benefit as well. But my point is, magic should be rare. If it's not rare, it's not special. You see? So, too much magic items also can upset the game balance. There's a lot of different ways you can upset it. And setting the treasure to match the risk is it's something to consider. It can be a dicey proposition. A dungeon master who puts the players up against a few orcs guarding a cave loaded with gold pieces, gems, jewelry, magic items, more stuff than they could possibly carry out. Game masters who do that have garnered a nickname over the years of Monty Hall, Haul, because everybody's got a haul. Such an overly generous treasure tends to end games, because when a player character has so much that they no longer need to adventure, what's the main point of adventuring is becoming rich and famous. Well, if you're rich, if you have that much money, you don't need to adventure anymore. And everybody's going to know your name because you're spending money left and right. You see what I'm saying? So, a Monty Hall dungeon master is not necessarily a good thing. It's great if you're the guy who gets to benefit from the gold, but then you have to make up a new character because the game ends. Or hell, I don't know, you may be a greedy SOB and just want to continue adventuring, but that's, whatever. My point is, if you give so much gold and treasure and magic items and blah, 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 for doing virtually nothing. I was playing a game one time, we killed a snake. It was a normal snake, it had 2 hit points. It was 6 of us. We killed a snake because we were camping right here near the mouth of this cave. We were going to go explore the cave the next day. The only thing guarding the cave was a snake. One snake. It wasn't even poisonous. We killed it with a stick. Okay? We walked into the cave, around a corner in the back, because we had arrived late at night and we didn't have time to explore. So we went into the cave, around the corner, and there was a pile of gold, I want to say there was too much treasure for us to carry out. That's a Monty Hall. Okay, that dungeon master is a Monty Hall. Oh, we actually started calling that guy Monty for a while until he fixed the situation, And of course, if a character has too much money and they go back into town, there's always the pesky thieves guild that likes to pick his pocket every time he walks down the street. That's a good way to, to relieve players of money. So there's always ways. But being a Monty Hall is not generally a good thing, and just something to look out for when you're running games. Make the treasure match the risk. It can sometimes be tricky, but whatever you do, don't over. It's better to underestimate than overestimate. You folks have a good day, and I hope you have fun playing. God bless one and all.